back, baby. We back. This episode number 20 of the Think Big podcast. I got my brothers with me, Mindset Marlon. It's really Alvarez, and we're here, man. We're here with another special episode. They was asking us for it, fellas. They was asking for round two of Mindset because we just went so hard. Marlon freaking dropped the sauce last time we went through Mindset, and I'm excited. I'm excited because Marlon is freaking my mindset coach. He's the mindset guy. He's the mindset Marlon. So like it's always an honor when we get just gems and gems. Like every time he just goes off, I just pull my notepad out because it's something different today. I'm super excited. Super excited for today. Episode number 20. This is 20 straight weeks of the Think Big podcast. Marlon, brother, what you got for us today, dog?
Bro, that's wild. It's 20 weeks into this podcast. And until you said that, I didn't even think about it. That's
Yeah.
insane. Like consistently showing up every week. So today, if y'all peep the title, it says 15 employees to zero. What I learned from closing my business. That is a true story. A little over a year ago, I had over 15 employees from where I started. I started off, just doing wholesale by myself, cold calling alone in my bedroom for almost a year. And eventually I scaled up, did some things right, made some money, and just wanted to build, build, build. And I hit a lot of road bumps along the way. However, one of the biggest road bumps I hit was when I had scaled to the place of 15 employees without laying a proper foundation. And the reason I want to talk about this today is because honestly, when I look back, I think this was one of my biggest business mistakes. I think this was one of the biggest kind of failures I had as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a leader. And I want to share it because last week I was talking to a handful of people. I'm doing something right now where I've opened up my calendar, Daryl and Alejandro. I opened up my calendar to really make time to help as many people as possible, to give them one-on-one coaching. And a lot of people were telling me that the reason they aren't where they want to be at yet, and the reason they aren't doing what they want to be doing, is simply because they're afraid of screwing up. They're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid of failing. So with that being the case, I had to remind a lot of them because they thought I didn't screw up. And I was like, guys, I screw up every single day. Like there's pressure on me and my business all the freaking time. Not just me, Alejandro, Daryl, Sam, Pace, Jamil, right? The people that you look up to, Elon Musk, Alex Hormozy, Ed Milet, all of these people experience pressure every single day. And ultimately, the only way we fail is when we quit, when we stop, when we throw in the towel and we don't get back up. So in this case, when I went from my 15 employees down to zero, I'm ashamed to say, or I'm not really ashamed to say, I want to share that I had thrown in the towel and I really shouldn't have. Not yet, not until I had fixed a handful of things. So let's talk about that. Let me explain what happened there. See, I was building my business. I had come from having one VA, shout out to Jella, and I had two acquisition guys. I had Ben and Victor working for me. Now, check it out. They used to pull up to the house when I was living in New York. We would sit around. I had a table in my room, a little square table. We would all sit around that table and we were just banging out calls, banging out calls. Jella was generating leads for us. Ben and Victor were lead managing, so they were keeping the leads warm, touching people that need to be followed up with, and I was getting on the phone closing. We were doing about 2 to 3 deals per month. We were having a hell of a good time doing it, and we were just coasting along. So, like many of you, I started to think, all right, what's next? I got to level up. So I went out to a mastermind, and at this mastermind, I started to learn that I needed to get an integrator. So someone told me, yo, you got to go get an integrator. So I went and I pulled an integrator into my business, and that integrator came from corporate America. Great guy, phenomenal human being. I'm still friends with him to this day. He came into the business and we joined forces. And I said, like, listen, I'm not used to giving up control. I'm not used to handing the reins over. And this is the big mistake I made. I got to be honest with y'all. This was the big mistake I made. I totally handed over the reins without creating some sort of system for accountability, some sort of system for quality assurance, some sort of system for making sure that the things were getting done properly. I let go of a piece of my business and said, oh, well, they'll take care of it. I shouldn't have to worry about that. And some of you are like, well, Marlon, that's what you're supposed to do. To an extent, absolutely. You're supposed to hand over pieces of your business for other people to take care of. However, it's like your child. You never fully take your hand off the steering wheel, right? When you have a babysitter coming over and watching the kid, you are still making sure that the right person is coming in there. You're still ensuring that what you want to have happen is going to happen. As a good parent, that's what you make sure happens, right? If you're leaving your young child. So my business was my young child. And I just handed my young child off to somebody. And
Mm.
I said, you know what? I'm going to try it their way. I'm going to let them. I've been doing a good job raising my kid, but for some reason, I'm going to let them raise my kid their way. And here's what started to happen, y'all. Real talk. We started to hire. We hired a lot of people in a very short period of time, which you're supposed to hire. However, we weren't checking the quality control of the people. We weren't making sure that these people were the right fit for the job. And anytime we ran into a problem, we would hire our way through the problem. We would just bring on another person. It was very bureaucratic, actually. If anyone knows anything about like how some local governments are ran, when they have an issue, they simply just create a new job and bring in a new person, which creates a lot of inefficiency because they're never actually dealing with the problem. They're simply putting band-aids on it. They're never actually leveling their people up. We weren't leveling our people up. I wasn't leveling our people up. I was being a hands-off business owner. And I was being hands-off way too early in the game, way too soon. Tip number one, when you're building your business, when you're starting out, you don't get to be a hands-off parent. Start looking at your business like you would look at a child. When they're at 16, 17, and 18, it's going to be different how you raise them versus when they're 0 months old, 1 month old, 1 year old, 5 years old. You're going to be much more hands-on in those early stages of the child's development. If you were to try and skip how you raise a child from the age of 2 to begin raising them like they're 16 years old while they're still only 3, and you skip those crucial steps, you're not going to get the results you're looking for. So I was running into this challenge of I was skipping some major steps. But I kept going. I kept going because, well, this is what you're supposed to do, right? So we keep going, we keep hiring, we quickly get to 15 people, and I'm feeling this crazy pressure. I'm feeling this pressure of things aren't getting done properly. I'm feeling this pressure of the results aren't being created. I'm feeling this pressure of it just feels like a lot of wasted energy is going out in a lot of different directions. And I've got 12 cats to somewhat herd, but I'm telling myself that my responsibility is to just be over here, just focusing on this thing. I'm not supposed to look at the rest of this. Right. And I don't know if anyone's ever had that feeling before of like you're not supposed to, your attention's only supposed to be over here. You're not, you're not supposed to look at this stuff, but you feel like all of this stuff over here is being done wrong. See, there was like an internal war. I want to let people know. The reason I'm bringing this up is I want to let y'all know what I was going through. There was an internal war because the advice I was hearing was like a good CEO isn't out there taking care of all that stuff, which is so damn true. But I skipped steps. I skipped steps hard. I never, like Sam was on here last week talking about scaling, and he said SOPs are so critical, so damn crucial. I never built the SOPs. I never put in the training process for my people. I never did that kind of stuff. So I skipped laying the foundation and I went straight to building a skyscraper. But I was building on sand. So internally now, here's what's going on. I'm fighting against my intuition. I'm fighting against my gut instincts. I'm starting to have like this gut instincts, these internal intuition, this feeling, and I'm fighting against it. Yo, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are out there, I need you to listen to your intuition. Your logic will fail you. Listen to your intuition. Your logic can be fooled. You need to start listening to your intuition and getting in tune with it, getting in tune with your instincts. Those instincts will have you grow. So I'm ignoring the instincts. I'm ignoring the intuition. I'm going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I mean, like mistakes are happening left and right. It's costing me money. I'm having VAs mess up and buy, like double buy things. I'm just stressing, Alejandro. Bro, I'm hoping people can relate to this because like I'm doing my best to really let y'all know like this was at a point where people were still looking at me as a leader in our real estate community. They were still looking at me as like a leader and a closer and someone that like is doing really well and really successful. And all this time while people are looking at me a certain way, behind the scenes internally, I'm feeling like just everything is crumbling and falling apart around me. Right? Now, of course, we kept going. I stayed it with it. I didn't stop in those moments. However, I started to really sit down and reflect. And I learned something really interesting. See, it started to give people a sense of like the time. It was right before Christmas of 2022 or 2021. I'm sorry. Right before the Christmas of 2021. And when Christmas came around, I went home to New York. And a part of going home to New York, we said, you know, we'll take like 3 days off during Christmas time. And during those 3 days, I sat and I reflected, and my intuition, my instincts got louder and louder and louder. And when it got louder, what it started to tell me was, you're messing up. You're doing the wrong thing. This isn't the right foundation. Your foundation is built on sand. You need to bring things down. You need to bring things down. So I listened. I listened to my instincts and I put a stick of dynamite in my business and I blew it up. I literally like shut everything down. Now, I was here's the interesting thing, Alejandro. Like when I did this, I was so conflicted because I had to fire people. I had to fire people. And I don't enjoy firing people. And when I did it though, I had this crazy feeling of relief. Like like something's off my chest. Like I don't know what it was. And upon having exit interviews with people, there was one person that we decided like, hey, we're going to keep this guy. Like no matter what, we're going to hold on to this guy. I started to go back into business and I get a message. This is turning into a little interesting story. I didn't even plan for it to turn into this story. I get a message on Instagram. And the message reads, "Do you know this VA?" And I say, "Yeah, I know that name. Like my VA has that name." They say, "He's working for us."
Ooh.
I say, "No, it's got to be a coincidence, man. There's no way he's working for you guys because he works full time for us." Right? You got to just have it's got to just be a coincidence. The same name. They say, "No, man, he's working for us. Like, what's his?" They start asking me like questions about him, and I'm like, "I don't feel comfortable giving you that information because I'm not about to give out other people's information." And I just say, "Look, send me a picture of him." Alejandro, they send me a screenshot. It's our VA. It's our main guy. Like, it's our this is like our cornerstone asset inside of our business. And I'm like, "Yo, what is going on?" And this is like after I finally decide to like release everything. So we find out, Alejandro, he had been working for another wholesaler full time as well, full time. And bro, it was crazy. It was like there was just so much bad things happening. And I started to realize I was getting feelings about this the whole time. I was having like intuition, I was having instinct about this, like this uneasy feeling. Like I'm someone that sleeps well through the night. I sleep so easy through the night. During this time, I was not sleeping through the nights. And when this occurred and I started to find out this, we started to find out other things about the other VAs he had us hired because he had us hire some of his friends, some of his family. He had sourced some of these other people. And I just realized I am at fault here. It's not his fault. I'm at fault because I took my hands off the steering wheel too soon. I didn't properly design the vehicle to be driven without me. So I learned a couple of valuable lessons. The first lesson I learned here is you have to take extreme ownership. You have to. There's no other way. Right? Going from 15 employees to zero, going from 0 to 15, just because you bring employees in, just because you give them responsibilities and you give them tasks and you feel like you've taught them once or you gave them the SOPs, it is still, as a business owner, your responsibility no matter what. The puck stops with you. If you're willing to take the reward for having your business do well, you also need to be willing to take the risk of when it doesn't go well. You need to take you got to own up to it. It's 100% on you. So that was the first thing I learned in a very serious way after I had closed that business down, because I had to sit and really reflect. The second thing is my partner, phenomenal human being, well-intended, heart was in the right place. However, he wasn't producing results. And I allowed for the lack of results. Let me not say he wasn't producing results. It was substandard results. And I allowed for substandard results to be created for a long time. And myself also we were both producing substandard results, which was the second thing I learned. With any partnership, you have to be aware of what the result is, the positive, successful result that you're going to be judging the other person on as a partner. It can't just be that you have core values in alignment. Core values are absolutely critical, but their ability to get the job done and done in the right way is going to be absolutely critical. If you can't rely on them to get the job done, this isn't the person that you need to be connecting with. We shouldn't be partnering with people because we're friends. We should not be partnering with people because we like their personality. Those are things that come into play. However, they need to be a good core fit. They need to get the vision, see the vision, and have the capacity to do it and enhance it and grow it. If they don't have those things, and after time you see that, you need to revisit the conversation and rethink what moving forward looks like. Critical. Now, there's a third thing that I learned with this as well. Third thing I learned was you have to trust your instincts. You can't move on and move and grow your business without actually being in tune with the thing that gets you off the ground. Your instincts are the thing that you need to bet on. You've got to train yourself to be able to sit and get quiet and listen to that intuition. Learn to bet on yourself. See, I spent a lot of time like that VA that was destroying the business from within. I started to get a feeling months earlier. Around the time I was getting the feeling was the person told me around the time that guy came on and started working on his team. You've got to trust your intuition. When you get a feeling about something, recognize that there's a reason you got that feeling. You may need to explore what that reason is, but there's a reason you got the feeling. So these things are absolutely critical because you're going to hit little rock bottoms along the way. We all do. In fact, in my business currently, I want to express this to people because people, again, they start to create their reality of what the rest of your life looks like based off of the 10-second clips, based off of the couple HUD statements they see you post. They start to just say like, all right, nothing bad is happening. Yeah, I've got deals right now where I called Alejandro the other night and I was like, bro, I feel like 5 of my deals are currently on fire. But because I learned, because I learned from this experience in the past of having these employees, having to shut the business down, I failed that business. That business is no longer around. That business does not exist. That business was a failure. Although I learned from it, it was a failure. But guess what I did learn? I learned to stay persistent. Even though right now I'm experiencing some fires in my business, I know now, hey, you know what? If I stay in this longer, if I'm willing to push through the discomfort, eventually the uncomfortable feeling goes away. And I'm still able to stay there standing. I can create more. I can produce more. I can do more. I will actually accomplish the goal. It's huge. See, we all talk about wanting to get to that next level. We all talk about wanting to go to that next place. But the truth is, when you start going through it, you're going to be walking through like flames. You're going to be walking through a hallway on fire. And you don't have sneakers on. You're barefoot in this hallway. But you got to keep going. You have to keep going. So
Bro,
I'm curious. I want to hear from some of y'all. Like, what have you seen like in your own business? Like, have there been times where you've gotten to the place where you're like, look, I want to stop doing this? And also, Jennifer says my intuition is telling me that I hate cold calling. Is it your intuition telling you that you hate cold calling, or are you just uncomfortable with it?
bro, I'm so glad that we're talking about this because we had one of my core values actually is it's crazy that Cameron actually just put it in the side chat is be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And
Yep.
we had that conversation with one of our new lead managers today. He was hesitating using the new script, and he's like, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable. I don't understand it. It's new to me. I want to get my old script out of my system." It's giving all these excuses, and I just pulled up the core values. I'm like, "Bro, look at number 3, right? Because be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And that's because there's so many fires that got to get put out every single day in the business. If you're not putting out fires, that means you're not doing enough business, right? Like if everybody that I speak to who's actually doing this business has problems. They're dealing.
Look, Daryl's experiencing a problem right now.
Y'all see me still? Am I gone still?
No, you're good.
All right,
you know.
cool. But no, that's what it is, right? It's problems at the problems. You just have to roll with the punches at this point. Like whenever you get into something, just expect something to go wrong at this point, so you can solve it, right? That's all it is. And you have 2 choices when you face some really tough shit. You could either is that about to go get my fun go fund me for a hotspot? I need that. Start that up, bro. Start that up. But there's 2 things that can happen when you face one of these challenges, and when you're feeling like the way you're feeling, Marlon. When it's like, damn, can I even go forward? Right? Like, there's 2 things you could do. You could either make excuses, you could give up and blame everybody else and complain all day. That's the easy route. That's the easiest thing you can do when you face these situations is just complain and blame other people. Or you can just smile and take a deep breath and just acknowledge, just accept the fact that it is what it is. This is what happened. Now we need a solution, right? Okay, damn, this sucks, right? This sucks. Let's acknowledge that what just happened sucks. Perfect. Now, what's the solution to this problem? Right? Because now you just learn a lesson, right? If you get upset and you start blaming other people and you're just gonna stress yourself out. But now if you just look for a solution, chances are you're going to find a solution. And guess what happened? It's not going to be the last time that this problem comes up. So when it comes up again, you've already solved it. You now know the solution. And now we're talking about building businesses. Now you have processes, systems, videos set up on how to solve this problem so somebody else can solve it next time.
Yo, so that's big what you just said right there. And that's something that it needs reminding. If you don't take the time to solve your problems will reappear. The exact same problem. It will come back and it will be packaged in a different suit. It will be dressed a different way, but it will come back. Alex Hormozi, actually, he refers to this as the woman in the red dress. Right? The woman in the red dress. If anyone's ever seen the movie The Matrix and you saw the first time Neo was brought into the simulation with Morpheus and they're walking through the crowded city and Neo sees the woman in the red dress and he turns his head. And then when Morpheus calls his face back, he's surrounded by agents because it was that distraction. It was that problem. And that woman in the red dress keeps appearing in your journey if you don't take care of solving it. And when she comes, she's at one level. As you level up, it'll be new women in new red dresses. However, you've got to take care of the situation at hand. And here's the honest truth. I want to say this to some people because some people know exactly what their problem is, and they've known exactly what their problem has been for a good time now, for weeks, maybe even months. And you already know what the solution is. However, you haven't committed yourself to taking care and solving that problem. You haven't disciplined yourself yet to saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it happen. You have the answer. You know what the answer is. Can you get yourself to commit Can you get so fed up of your current situation that you commit to saying, I'm going to solve this problem now, once and forever? I'm going to put the proper systems in place. That's what it means to be a business owner. It's not just running around and putting Band-Aids on it. Right? I sat down with Daryl last week, and I sat down with a couple of people in the last week or so, and I told them I'm on Operation Closed Loop. Right? I should call it Operation Surgery right now, which means I've got some problems that have existed in my business that I have not sewn up. I've been putting Band-Aids on. So recently I said, you know what? I'm tired of dealing with the same issue. So I'm going to go and solve this issue once and for all. I want new problems. I don't want the same old problems. How many of you can relate to that? How many of you, like, put a 1 in the chat if you've dealt with a problem multiple times, the same problem. If you've ever gone through doing the same problem over and over, it's not a fun thing to do. It's like Groundhog's Day. You're literally living the same day over and over and over. So again, like, I learned this because in that experience where I had the 15 employees, for that entire time that I was having the intuition, the entire time I was having that gut feeling, here's what was going on. I was feeling a problem, but I wasn't solving it. I wasn't fixing it. I was kicking the can down the road. I was kicking the snowball down the hill, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger until finally it took everything out. Don't wait for your problems. Don't wait for your molehills to become mountains before you decide to do something about it.
Yeah, why do you think that happens? Why do you think we push these problems just away and don't really face them when we know it's a problem?
Because I'll speak for myself, because I don't want to ever speak for another person. However, this is what I would assume, right? Based off of who I am. If people are similar to me, like if you're anything like me, what goes on is when you see your problem, you start to feel overwhelmed by it. In the moment, you start to feel like it's a fire and that you don't have enough water to start putting this fire out, and that your attention is spread too far, that you've got your focus on way too many things. And this is when you're feeling like this, when you're feeling overwhelmed, if your problem feels too big, what it tells me, because this is what it told me about myself, it tells me that you've got to go and regather some of your resources, regather some of your attention, regather some of your energy, and consolidate it to then attack a single focus. When you feel overwhelmed by your problems and you're not tackling it, you're trying to take on too many things at once. We need to narrow it down, narrow the focus. So this way you can start to get like a laser beam and we can start to cut through it. But we're not doing that. No one's telling us, when we start talking about our problems and we're sharing it with our friends, trying to get some relief, trying to get some help, we're telling them the 40 different things that are going wrong. And our friends who care for us are allowing us to talk about 40 different things instead of saying, yo, bro, I love you, but shut the hell up and tell me the one thing. Tell me the one brick that we need to work on. What's the one thing that we can actually change and do today? That's what we need to, that's what I would advise a person. If you're feeling overwhelmed, bring it down, focus on one thing, turn off as much noise as possible, focus on one brick and go deal with that one brick. And then when you're done with that one brick, come back and go get the next brick. Right? You don't move a pile of wood by picking all the wood up at once. You take a piece at a time. You don't move all the pile of bricks by picking up the entire pile of bricks at once. You move one brick at a time. Does that answer the question, Daryl?
Bro, 1,000%. 1,000%. It's that's what it is, bro. We get squirrel minded, and it's just like I go through the same thing. I did go through the same thing. Like now, it's just like do it that now, right? Like let's just figure it out now, right? Like we're not gonna go figure it out at the end of the day or tomorrow or at the end of the week, right? If there's a problem, let's come up with a solution right now, right? So that way we don't have to continue to let this just linger and just eat away at you, because you're gonna I've lost sleep. I've lost sleep because I've avoided those tough conversations and avoided just solving the problem. But now it's just like, let me just lean into it, right? Like, let me just lean into it and solve the problem. Like I've had a bunch of times where I've had to make calls that I just did not want to make. But then when I go make the call, I usually just excuse my language, just nut up and just make the call. It becomes, you realize it's really not that scary. It's really was a lot easier than I was expecting. The same with any problem that you're facing, any challenge that we're facing. There's always a solution out there for everything, and as always remember that. Like there's always something can always be done for something. You know what I mean? Like, and as long as you believe that, and you truly understand that, you will not stop. You shouldn't stop.
Fat. Yo, y'all cool to have a quick, like, candid conversation for a second?
Let's do it. I don't know what candid means, but let's do it.
It just means like a little honest, little off the cuff conversation. Because here's a question I have for both of y'all. Today, we woke up, and so far, it's over. It's like 5 o'clock over here. I think it's like 7 o'clock by Alejandro. So we've had, 3/4 of the day is done. Do you feel like you lived intentionally today, and that you tackled your problems, like you faced life head on today, and you moved intentionally towards what you desired?
I have, and I ain't done yet. Day ain't over, baby. But yeah, I have, and I would say what's really helping me is you two with just having accountability partners. I have an accountability partner where we do the same thing that y'all do, where we text our most valuable priorities, our most valuable tasks that we need to accomplish every single day that align with our goals, that align with what we're looking to accomplish. And everything that I do, I make sure I get those done as soon as I possibly can. And yeah, I 1,000% am.
I love that. What about you, Alejandro?
Like, as far as like my day being executed properly,
Mm-hmm.
Man, I can't go to sleep unless I feel like that, bro. You know me, bro. All those tasks that I sent you every day.
Yep.
Like, even that picture I sent you the other day, bro. Like, I was in bed, ready for bed, and I forgot one of my tasks. I had to put my robe on.
You mean the picture you sent us in your robe when you were naked in your robe, bro?
Yeah,
that one.
Bro. I had to do it, bro. It's like, it's weird. Like, I just can't go to sleep in peace without knowing I executed my task properly. And I am so grateful that I acquired that skill to have that discipline. They were 0% motivated to do that. I was already in bed, comfortable, showered. I have like this pet peeve. I don't know if I'm the only one. Maybe there's more people out there. But after I shower, I do not want to leave my bed. Like, it's over, because I feel like if I move, I'm gonna sweat and I have to shower again. It's a weird pet peeve, I swear.
Yo.
But yeah, hope that answered the questions.
No, it does. And what's cool is I agree with both of y'all. Right? You're doing the things that actually there's action behind it. Right? Like Alejandro, like when I during the days, like I go, and I want everyone to know this, like I look at my cell phone to see what I texted Alejandro. Like today, like that's how I started to create my to-do list. Right? I spent like 3 hours today trying to find a plumber for one of our properties because like it needed it. And why? Because I told Alejandro, like, yo, this is a priority. This is a part of like what I need to get done tomorrow. This is a part of like, and like I was first couple of hours, like nobody's answering. No plumbers are calling me back. Voicemail, bad review. All of this stuff is going on. However, you keep pushing through. See, we want the thing. We all want to get to success. We all want to be the best. We all want to be the greatest. Everybody wants to be number one. However, when it comes time to do the work, we don't all want to do it. And we got to just be honest with ourselves. This is like you got to really reflect right now. Like if you're feeling like I'm personally talking to you right now, maybe I am. But real talk, I'm talking to myself. I'm like, this is a constant reminder to me. This is a constant reminder that when we record these podcasts, I want everyone to know something. Like as we record these podcasts, we put it out there for the community so we can add value. Selfishly, something I don't share often is I put these podcasts out as well for myself to be able to go and watch how we grow over time. And also for my kids, for my future generation to be able to go back and see and learn. And what I want them to be able to see is I want them to be able to see that we speak about things and then our actions back it up. I want them to see that their words and actions need to stay in alignment. I want everyone doing this to also recognize this. Cameron says, my girl looked at me like, bro, we need a plumber. 100%. So what's interesting is, Alejandro, I want to know, within your own space, right, as you're staying disciplined, what's one of the, I guess, like I would say, challenges about like staying disciplined?
What is the biggest challenge of staying disciplined?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you guys hear that squeak? Man, I really have to think about that, bro. Like at this point in my life, I don't know if I have challenges, or at least I don't pay attention to them. Man, I personally don't think I have challenges, bro, because I get pleasure like executing the uncomfortable voice in my head. I feel this new opportunity to dominate, and it just feels really good. So like whenever I'm in a situation like that, because I guess I feel comfortable, like if I have to get something done and there's something important going on at the moment, I feel comfortable being like, wait a minute, give me a second. Even though it's really important, I don't know. It's just me. So I get a pleasure from it, bro. So like to answer your question, like what are the challenges I get? I can't answer that. I can't think of any right now, to be honest with you.
Bro, that's actually really cool. Because you know who Kobe Bryant is, right?
Absolutely.
Bro, because you're describing something that like Kobe talked about, like with Mamba mentality.
Yep.
Right, where he recognized at a young age that if he wanted to get ahead, if he wanted to really accelerate and dominate, that it was going to take him outworking everybody around him. That it was going to take him doing the uncomfortable thing. And what he used to do was he would play games, and in those games, he would, like when he was young in like those early days, early leagues, like pre-high school, he would go and in the game, he would practice working on whatever skill it was he needed to acquire.
Yep.
So if he had to learn how to dribble with his left hand, he would use game time to dribble with his left hand because he was okay being uncomfortable, knowing that it was going to build a skill, knowing that it was going to lead to something. And when he got to the league, right, he actually said it was easier once he got to the league because most other people had gotten somewhere. They had made a little name for themselves. They had a little taste of success, and they started to back off. They started to not go as hard.
Wow. Oh my God. Oh man. You know what's crazy, Marlon? Like I look back at it like a couple years ago, that would have been me. That would have been like I would have been the guy like, man, I just made $100,000 this month. Let me go take a vacation and chill out. But like when that did happen the first time for me, when was it? Was it last year? When I got that first $100,000 month, like it was weird because even my friend, like that knows me for such a long time, he was like, "Bro, why are you not excited? Why are you not, celebrating and stuff?" And I was like, "Bro, I'm so freaking happy. I donated, to the less fortunate when that check came, and like that was really emotional for me to do that. But the excitement was within. I kept that excitement. Like I don't know how to really explain it, but I keep my emotions at a leveled point.
Mm-hmm.
That like it's not that I'm over like because you know what happens when you're too excited and you go down, like you come down harder because you were at this level of excitement. Like I keep it right here. And if I'm excited, it's like, yo, okay, cool. And just keep going. And just keep going. And like if it's like sometimes people like say, like, damn, dude, like you're so mysterious. I don't know if you're upset or you're sad. Like, I'm just cool. Like I'm really cool with it. So I was that guy a few years ago, man.
Bro, and that's funny because that's a part of the display. Like it's a part of having control,
Yeah.
right? And being in control is going to be at showing up regularly, showing up to the things that has to be done.
Yeah.
You know, man, like it's. I want more people to understand this. That we have the ability to choose how we go about the day. We have the ability to leverage our will, to really implement our will into creating what we want.
Yes.
And that if something isn't working right away, if we're willing to stay persistent, if we're willing to say this is going to happen, if we're willing to say that I'm not stopping until I make this happen, it will eventually be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is an interesting topic.
What are some challenges do you face? I'm curious. Maybe, you know, if you tell me the challenges you face, it might spark, you know, an idea in my mind to think about it.
Yeah, no, great question. So, you know, in all honesty, the toughest challenge I've ever faced when it came to creating discipline, the toughest challenge I ever faced was man, that is tough.
You see, I knew it wasn't just me, bro.
Nah, you're right. Because at this point, like it's interesting, right? Because we do train our minds to be able to get back in the round and get back in the game. I would say here's actually this is what I would say. Ooh,
Let's go.
if you're struggling with discipline, it's a lack of clarity. It's not that you don't want to do the work. Most people know how to work hard. Most people are really hard workers. However, if you're finding that you're procrastinating, if you're finding that you're not getting it done, one of two things is going on. You either don't know what it is you want, right? You don't actually know what you want, or you don't want the thing that you think you do. Because when you are clear, so for me in the past, when I've struggled with discipline, even like in certain areas now that like I'm thinking out loud, and if I'm being totally honest with people, if there are areas where I'm dropping the ball, if I'm thinking about it, it's either from a lack of clarity or a lack of desire.
Lack of
Because even when we look at Kobe, and Kobe was out there killing it, there was a deep desire. There was a deep desire to be the undisputed champ, to be number one. So he knew what he was out there. He wanted to be out there. He wanted to make the game of basketball, like to take it to the level that it's never been. So for him, being able to commit was possible. What's up,
I
bro?
guess the only challenge is I'm thinking about it now because it happened to me today, but it's not really so much of a challenge. But let's just say like lack of like time. Like lack of time, because sometimes like you're having such a great day, you have like your regular schedule, but as an entrepreneur, shit is always going to pop up. Right? So like whenever you're like today, like I don't like multitasking, but today I caught myself doing like 4 things at a time, and it felt good because I was executing all of it, but I didn't like the feeling of doing that because I like to feel like I'm focusing at one thing at a time so I can give it 100% of my attention. Because, you know, when you multitasking, there's room for errors and room for mistakes. And I don't like to be that person. Like I'm texting, I'm sending an email, I'm signing a contract, getting a mobile notary because I'm closing on this house. And I'm over here signing, and I don't know, I might sign something incorrect. So I don't like that. But like for contracts and stuff, I do like to focus on that. But that's just like an example. So like lack of time. That would be the only challenges. Yeah, it could be a challenge. But like every time I have like a new challenge, I want it to happen because it tells me where my weak spots are, where my weak points are. And now I'm like, okay, cool. I need to teach my assistant how to do X, Y, Z, because I definitely don't want to be in a situation like that, because anytime I am, I'm just going to delegate it to her. So it's like I'm getting better all the time due to those challenges.
That's an interesting perspective. I'm actually curious, right? Like When you come across one of those challenges and like it catches you, how quickly do you get to remedying it? Like, is it that you have to see a problem? Like, are there times that like a problem might pop up, but this is like such an infrequent problem that it's like, hey, this isn't worth the time, energy, and effort it takes to kind of create a system for this? Or is it like when a problem pops up, twice in your world, you start to say, okay, like at what point do you start to give attention to challenges that pop up as like, hey, this requires true fixing?
Immediately for me. Immediately for me, because Marlon, you know how I am, bro. I like to protect my energy and I like to be at peace. So if there's anything, like, here's how I look at it. Like this go back to like small little habits, like just writing down one gratitude a day. By next year, you'll be writing 10 gratitudes a day. So same thing with a problem. Like it could be this tiny issue, but if you don't settle it now, it will continue growing to a point where it will be a huge problem in the future. So any little thing that throws me off, I fix it immediately. Or I plan to fix it immediately.
That's smart. So yeah. I like that. So as soon as like you recognize something, you don't ever let it fester. Like you don't let the negative things in your life fester and grow and gain any sort of life and traction of their own.
Exactly. So what else can I put into that? Just identifying that, bro. I feel like I was talking to a potential partner the other day. Like I felt like my days, my weeks were kind of just cruising now. I'm like, damn, is nothing else to solve right now? Like, what's going on? And I was like, hey, I want to start another business. What's up? What do you got? And like, I realized like I love that chaos. However, that can be dangerous as an entrepreneur, that you love the chaos, because if you're not really smart with it, just the fact that you love chaos, sometimes entrepreneurs tend to create unnecessary chaos to a company that can affect it really bad. Right. So, and also to answer your question, Marlon, as far as like how soon I do it, I learned also in this book I was reading the other day, and let me pull it up now, if you don't mind. Is How to Listen with Intentions. I thought I wasn't going to like that book for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I judge it by its cover, something like that. I don't know what it was, but I ended up like highlighting a lot of stuff. But there are multiple different type of listeners. There's people orientated, and just to make a long story short, my listening style is content orientated. And I'll read this to you. It says content orientated is in their listening style. When these people listen, they are homing in on facts, data, and what is said rather than how it is said or who is saying it. They may seek to confirm the credibility of the speaker rather than offer support and compassion. After all, in their mind, the purpose of the conversation may be to find facts or solve problems. They are on a completely different level than people-orientated conversationalists, and have completely different goals when speaking and also when listening. This is great for me because anytime someone comes with a problem, I'm like, my face is like this. I'm listening to the facts. And this could be also a problem if you're in a relationship. Like for me, like if me and being in a relationship, when someone, my girlfriend may come to me with a problem, I'm just listening to the facts. Like, hey, you could have done this different, but instead I should have been a people-orientated type of listener, which is the person that has empathy. For me, it's really hard to find empathy because I'm entrepreneurial. My background is entrepreneurship. So I'm listening to what I can do to solve, but sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you just got to be an emotional support. And there's some stuff in this book. This book is really good, but that's a whole nother conversation. I'm sorry,
bro. That's fire. I mean, what's crazy? And like, this is where I want to say, like, I appreciate you guys. Like, Alejandro, I appreciate this conversation right now because as I hope people don't think that I'm asking this question for everyone else. Like, I was selfishly asking that question to you for myself. And I love the perspective that it gave me of how you handle situations immediately as they come up. That immediately that you recognize like this is a problem and I'm not going to let this hole turn into a gaping hole, into a massive hole so that it sinks the entire ship. Because then when we start doing that, one hole leads to another hole, one crack leads to another crack. And before we know that, the integrity of the hole is totally gone.
Yeah.
That's huge. And also just that thing. Brandon wants to know, by the way, what the name of that book was.
Oh, Listening with Intentions.
Listening with Intention.
Yeah, it's by Listening with Intentions by Patrick King. Oh, How to Listen with Intention. I'm sorry. How to Listen with Intentions. It's so good. There's some stuff on there that I'm at a stage now, Marlon, that I never thought I would be, but there's some stuff on the book that I disagree with. You know how people think like all books have like good things and great, like everyone is going to have their own point of view. So like there's some stuff on the book that I didn't agree with, such as like saying that if someone is negative, you should go in the hole with them and like support them. And you know how I am with my energy, bro. So I'm like,
yep.
So anyway, that's some things on there.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely know how you are. You got to protect the energy. It's freaking cool. Daryl, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Alejandro, which was, I asked Alejandro, when you see a problem in your business or anywhere in your life, how quickly are you addressing the problem? Like if a problem pops up, are you stopping what you're doing to take care of it? Like immediately, like what's it look like when a problem pops itself into your world? At what point do you decide it now deserves energy to be remedied?
That's a great question. It definitely depends on the size of the problem, for sure. So if this is something that is immediate, like fire, like ultimate fire, everything's about to drop, about to lose a deal, I'm dropping everything. Right. Honestly, if I'm not doing something, if another problem comes up, I'm just gonna stop and solve it. Right? Like I was thinking about it, but I'm just gonna stop and solve it right there. And there was a time where I was like, I'll do this at the end of the week, or I'll do this like at the end of the day. But I actually learned it from watching the Hormozi video, where it's just like, why not just do it now? Like, why not? Why are you pushing this off a whole day when it'd take you 15 to 20 minutes to get it done now?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And like
topic. Great question, Marlon. Thank you for
asking. And you know what it is? It's like it's coming up because I'm starting to adopt that attitude more and more. In fact, I had, I'm gonna mention a name that I don't even remember her last name at this point. Caitlin Pontriel. Not a real estate investor. She is an entrepreneur, one of the smartest women I think I ever met in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. I mean, like her brain, her mind, it was just so sharp. Her ability to execute was just so on point. I was so impressed with this woman that I remember one night I got out of work. This is pre-real estate, pre-entrepreneurship. I got out of work and I drove all the way into Manhattan, drove through traffic after like 8 o'clock, like to go and meet with her and just like to go sit down and have dinner with her, just because I wanted to understand better how her mind worked based off of the things she built. And she said something to me, and it's coming up right now. She said, if you encounter a problem in your business, if you encounter a problem in your life, and it will take you less than 15 minutes to solve, you stop what you're doing and you solve that problem right now. She said, you solve that problem right now, because if you push it off till later, this is how you start to build this to-do list, and you start to teach yourself to procrastinate. And I was just like, wow, she's like, yeah, like she's like so many times. And she's like, this is how people always ask me, how do I do so much? How do I do so much? She's like, because I don't, to your point, Alejandro, she doesn't let the problems pile up.
Yeah.
She doesn't let the problems start to create these little micro holes inside the spaceship that eventually blow the entire hole apart.
Yep.
So that's powerful. I want to challenge everybody to do that as well. Like if y'all were listening, I want to challenge you, because I'm going to be doing this. I want to think of like a fun way to do this challenge. And maybe it's going to be, if anyone's following me on Instagram, In fact, actually, this is what it'll be for the rest of the week. If anyone's following me on Instagram, what I'm going to do is I'll be making story posts as something pops up, as a problem pops up and interrupts my day. I'm going to make fun with it by quickly pulling out my phone and making a story and just saying, hey, this is the problem that just popped up. Here's what we're about to do as a solution. Time to start it right now. So we are on a new time zone, by the way, right? I think we got to do a little bit of housekeeping. We're in a new time zone.
Bro, you guys are killing me, man.
Yo, I asked the question last night. I was like, yo, what do y'all want to do? Sam was the only person that answered.
I got overruled.
You didn't get overruled. You were
5 p.m. PST and Arizona time. I'm not even gonna reply to that.
I was cool. I was cool moving it like back an hour. I would have been okay with that. It just lets me go to bed earlier.
It's all good, man. You know, I love being on here with you guys, man.
100%, man. Yo, tonight was like very selfishly, like I know like I was the one talking, but like selfishly, like I picked up some really good golden nuggets tonight. Actually, I'm looking forward to continuing to dive into my business and continuing to improve it as an entrepreneur, like based off of tonight's conversation, because this is what it's about. Like this is where I have fun. Like it's coming inside here, getting some insight, and then putting it to action. Not just like sleeping on the insight, but putting the insight into action, putting the information to work. So I love Brandon said he's about to drop a video right now. He's about to drop a story post. Yo, Brandon, tag us on that story post. I want to see exactly what you're going through.
Let's go.
So for people that are watching, yo, if this is your first time here, we are still the Think Big podcast. It is 5 p.m. every Tuesday, Arizona time, because Arizona is the only place that runs on real time. Everyone else does this crazy daylight savings, right? But Arizona does not do daylight savings. So 5 p.m. Arizona time. We'll be back next Tuesday. I'm not even sure what next week's topic is, but I already know it's going to be a ball.
Always, man. And just to give you some tips on employees and stuff like that. Here's a tip, guys, because Marlon, you were talking about like employees and, you know, firing and hiring. I have this thing where if I hire someone for a specific position and they're questioning the position as far as like, do they have to do that much, I immediately question it and move on to a different position, or I just don't hire at all. Like if I have someone that, hey, you got to do a minimum of 100 calls per day or 25 conversations per day. Oh, okay. What if I do 50 calls per day, you know, 10 conversations per day, right? Just an example. I would tell them, hey, I don't think you're a good fit for the position. And I say that obviously after asking more questions. I say that because if someone's already questioning the amount of work they have to do to succeed, I do not want you working in my company at all. I cannot be around that energy, right? Like anytime I have like mentorships, like if, you know, like prime example, like Pace Morby, if he tells me to do something, I don't question it. Hey bro, can you do that? Yeah. Okay, cool. I ask questions later after I agreed to do it. Hey bro, I'm here. Like, how should I do this? Right? Because I know like someone's like that, right? That's someone you look up to. They only have nothing but good intentions for you. Right? So anyways, keep that in mind with employees, man. Like if they're questioning, you know, your job, the positions, whatever, be careful with that. Be really careful.
Yep. Yo, I love it. Yo, so guys, that concludes this week's episode of the Think Big podcast. Yo, Daryl, bro, you held it down tonight, dog. Like, yo.
My fault, fellas. My fault, man.
I got an extra room over here for you, Daryl.
Come on and get the Wi-Fi fixed.
Bro, though you can't even like blame the Wi-Fi at this point, dog. Because yo, we're on the same network, bro. It's your computer, dog.
Man. Hey, real quick, since I wasn't here, I just want to shout out. We are 10 people away from 600 in the Discord. Join up right now if you're not in the Discord. Like I don't know what the hell you're doing. I just had to
drop the link.
Let me drop the link really quick. Hold up.
Drop the link, bro.
Drop the link, and then Brandon, drop that GoFundMe so we can get new Wi-Fi in the manor, bro.
Yeah, we gotta get Daryl hardwired in.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, y'all. We will catch you here next week. And we still need to work on that outro. Yo, we gotta get a dope outro here.
It'll be done next week.